Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Yes, we are back in the East Dulwich Tavern for the first time in, feels like weeks and weeks and weeks.
Maybe 2 months.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was.
I went on holiday, the McCubs went on holiday. We've had 2 bouts of COVID, I think, as well.
Yep.
But we are back and fully fit. And it has been Champions League week. Henry, have you enjoyed the action? The semi-finals, first legs are done.
Yes, I mean, my Villarreal were slightly disappointing, but not the disgrace.
Not Jason Cundy.
Which some TalkSport pundits, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I mean, what ridiculous. I mean, the thing was, Liverpool off the ball were just exceptional. They hounded down the space, and I don't think you can overlook how big the loss of Gerard Moreno was as just a general hold-up player, because, yeah, I mean, Dani Parejo did struggle, but really, Villarreal, I think they were just up against a team that's going to go down in history, really, certainly if they go and do the quadruple. But yeah, Tuesday night was one of the most enjoyable 90 minutes of football I've sat down and really got into in a long time. Yeah, that was just such a great game. Benzema is inevitable. What a couple of...
What Panenka.
Yeah, what a couple of goals.
And also the finish for the first one. It wasn't even a particularly good cross. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. McCubs, we are going to do Total Footballs again next year. I saw the studio in person this week, guys. It is not a myth. It does actually exist. We will be in there, hopefully, at some stage in the next couple of months. But Total Footballs will return. But what a game that was. That was the sort of game that was crying out for a live stream.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think I said in the group chat that you would have ended up in hospital that
Cardiac
night
arrest,
if it had happened. Yeah, go and check out like highlights of 2018-19. There were some real classics then, and I feel like you were involved in a lot of them, Diggs. But I mean, again on Benzema, like it was mad to see like the first goal. It was like it reminded me so much of like peak Van Persie, and then the penalty reminded me of like Zidane at the 2006 World Cup. It's just like the confidence running through him is just ridiculous, and yeah, what a player. But yeah, equally City should have been like 5-0 up at half time, shouldn't they? Like what? Yeah, just mad. It reminded me a little bit actually of. Do you remember the 5-3 when Monaco beat City? No, City beat Monaco 5-3 at the Etihad in that first Pep season when like Falcao like lobbed, was it Claudio Bravo in goal?
Yeah, he looped over him.
Just like that was unreal. So it kind of reminded me a bit of that in that sense of kind of City just being a bit more chaotic than we're used to seeing. But yeah, great. And on the VRL thing, I think to be honest, they managed to keep Liverpool like goalless again, when they were shooting against the Kop in the first half. So I think like you do have to give them some credit for that, don't you? Like
Absolutely.
Did you either of you see Aguero and Balotelli watching it
did.
on Twitch?
Yeah.
He called Watford and his little prince, his little blue prince, his little chicken.
Sickening.
So good.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, they were very good comedic value. I'm going to have to check out one of their live streams. Anyway, let's get into today's title. I'm sure we will come back to the Champions League and the events of this week throughout the show, but we are ranking the worst signings in Europe so far this season. Or this season, really. This season is pretty much done. It is a bit of a miserable, brutal title, but it's got to be done, guys. This is our definitive list of worst signings in Europe. Obviously, the winner is Romelu Lukaku, but we are avoiding all Premier League signings.
Well done, Rom.
He has to take top spot for sure. But Henry, let's start with PSG, because they made a lot of acquisitions last summer to very different effect.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, we all, I think, quite rightly hailed it as maybe one of the greatest transfer windows in recent memory. But really, when you boil down to it, some of the big names have actually flopped since they've been there. I mean, Messi's taken a while to get going. I think sort of the level of assists he's posting is consistent, and I still think all things considered, it's still quite cool for PSG to land Messi, so that's not a problem. Sergio Ramos is a bit more of a problem. He's hardly featured at all, hasn't he? He's missed 33 games this season. He's sat out 32 last time as well. So the kind of writing was on the wall. They knew what they were getting there, and I almost wish he was going to go back to Real Madrid. I think he'd be a great kind of option off the bench next season. Another problem, obviously, of Ramos is he's earning so much money at PSG this year, €6 million per season. But yeah, he's 22nd in the squad for minutes. I mean, it's hard to really even dig into his stats and numbers, whatever, because he's been fairly non-existent. I think he's even picked up some red cards as well. I feel sorry for him. I think he's still a great player. I'm never going to criticise Sergio Ramos because he doesn't deserve that, let alone from us. But it's just not quite worked out, and I think it's just bred into what is generally a very toxic atmosphere at the club this year. Donnarumma I feel less sorry for. He's a more expectation on his shoulder to be better than he was. We did underappreciated or underrated players last week. Keylor Navas, a lot of people were saying, how can you not talk about him? They're completely right. Keylor Navas probably doesn't deserve to have been sort of kicked out in the way that he has been. In that regard, Donnarumma does have to step up. But yeah, even Hakimi, like 60 million euros, what has that really bought them? Has that bought them that much of a difference?
It seemed like he had a very good 6 weeks or so. There was like a period in the first half of the season, I think, where he was excellent. But I agree. Nuno Mendes, I think, has been, or Nuno Mensch has been the most impressive.
The big plus, Nuno Mensch. He's great. He's a real star of the future. The rest of it, yeah, it is what it is. I think PSG, let's see if these Harvard business brains can figure out what to do to turn that club around.
Yeah, that was the news on Monday, that Nasser Al-Khelaifi was hiring Harvard Business School to have a look at where they went wrong this season. I'd suggest they should probably change sporting director as a starting point. Anyway, McCubs, let's talk a bit about Gini Wijnaldum, because also on very serious wages at PSG, and in response to my tweet about the most disappointing signings or worst signings this year, most PSG fans were saying Wijnaldum has been by far their worst signing.
Yeah, I mean, when you sign a player, on a free, and then within half of the, within 6 months or by January, even before January, I feel like by November there was already talk that he was going to leave in January. Obviously, he was being linked with a loan move to Arsenal. Didn't seem like he was particularly happy at the club, and I'm kind of not overly surprised. Like when you go from somewhere like Liverpool, where you're like universally loved, like Liverpool fans genuinely thought that Thiago Alcantara was a step down on Wijnaldum when they signed him. Like you know what I mean? He was so loved there, and he fit that system very, very well. And he was in a very well drilled midfield, wasn't he? One where his qualities were really maximised. And we've always known that Wijnaldum has never been particularly like statistically massive. So like then throwing him into a PSG side which has lacked a lot of identity this season and has never really had, a consistent midfield structure, especially when Verratti isn't fit. There was always going to be a risk to that, and yeah. So in many ways, I'm not overly surprised that he's not really been able to integrate himself that well into this side. Yeah, his tackle and interception numbers are down. Again, isn't producing much in terms of chance creation, doesn't dribble much. Like these are all things that you kind of come to expect, but in a PSG team where I think a lot of us were probably expecting him to play a more attacking role, he hasn't lived up to the expectation in that sense. And yeah, I think we do have to criticise the transfer window in retrospect from PSG, because yes, like it was praised a lot, mainly for the fact that there were a lot of free transfers and it was just such a glitzy transfer window. Obviously, like Messi and Ramos being the kind of spearheads of that. But again, it's not a transfer window that says like this is a club with genuine Champions League ambitions in many respects. Actually, like it does make me think like what actually are PSG's ambitions, because they have done a lot of amazing work in terms of their building their brand and stuff, probably more so than any other club in the last 10 years. But like in terms of actual squad building, they don't seem to have learned any. Learned from any of their mistakes in recent years, aside from the fullbacks. The fullback positions they did finally address, but everywhere else they didn't seem to really have much kind of logical thinking. Yeah, no sort of cohesive plan for sure. It looked like they were making such great strides a few years ago under Thomas Tuchel, reached that final, didn't back him significantly in the window, and ever since then their transfer models just looked very piecemeal, as we keep on saying. Like, I thought when they signed Gay and Herrera, although Herrera's not really worked out, that was probably what they needed at the time. And if they'd signed a few more fullbacks the year after, when Tuchel was sort of demanding them, rather than Danilo Pereira on loan and players like that, then I think they could have taken a massive step forward. But they missed an opportunity and they went for the glamour, and their fans are up in arms, despite winning Liga. They all left before the end of the game, didn't even stay around to watch their team lift the trophy, etc. And it's a really poisonous atmosphere. Pochettino will likely go, Leonardo will likely go as well, and it's sort of back to square one again. And you're probably going to hire Zidane, who's been out of work for a long time, on the basis that he's a great Champions League winner, which you can't deny his record in the Champions League is phenomenal. But is he a guarantee of a Champions League title on his own next year? Absolutely not. So PSG, I think, are as lost as ever, to be totally honest, and Wijnaldum and Ramos are just a sign of that.
Let's move on to Marcel Sabitzer. Also, another very popular suggestion underneath my tweet. This one came in from Jenny Tsai4, who also wanted us to mention Upamecano as well. But Sabitzer, really disappointing. Such a good performer for so many years at RB Leipzig, went up the leagues with them as well, was a bit of a hero there, signed a 4-year deal at Bayern for a reported fee of 16 million euros. And he's made 28 appearances this term, 1 goal, 1 assist. Obviously, he's played slightly in a deeper role than he did at Leipzig at times, where he often popped up on the right wing or even the left wing, or one of those free 10s that they used to play as well. But so he's played in a deeper position, but he's just found it almost impossible to replace Goretzka or Kimmich, who have both had injury issues this year. And when either of them have been out, Toliso's even come in and ahead of him at times. Musiala's even played in that deeper role as well. So Sabitzer, you're now looking at a 28-year-old who costs 16 million euros, who doesn't seem to fit under Nagelsmann, despite the fact he's worked under Nagelsmann before. And apparently they've had a bit of a falling out this year. So again, bit of a strange signing. Linked with Arsenal, Henry, do you think that's a potentially attractive move for Arsenal?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sabitzer's a good player. This reeks of Bayern just buying one of their the rival's best players just for the sake of it, just for a fairly small fee. I mean,
I guess, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he's probably regretting leaving Leipzig. It was his dream club. I think we wrote about that in a 10 recently. This was a big move for him. You can't blame the player, but I think just trying to beat Joshua Kimmich or Goretzka to a spot deep in the field, certainly when Musiala pushed in there as well. We've talked a lot about Marc Roca really struggling for minutes there. Another player who probably really deserves to be moving on and getting game time elsewhere. Yeah, I think Sabitzer, he just maybe bit off a bit more than he could chew in this situation. But absolutely, he's very versatile. He can play in a lot of positions. A club like Arsenal, why not pick him up? But there's loads of teams. If Bayern want 15 million euros for him, there's loads of teams that should be sniffing around that price point from Sevilla beyond. So yeah, I think Sabitzer is going to go somewhere this year and probably be a success because he is a very, very good player, excellent for the Austrian national team, great delivery, and all-round good player, really.
I agree. Apparently Atletico Madrid are also considering him, which I would potentially stay clear of if I was Sabitzer. I'd probably rather go to Arsenal, but then I'm slightly biased on that topic. Let's move on to another player, McCubs, in Elias Marieba, who went to Leipzig, of course, not necessarily as a Sabitzer replacement, but as an exciting young talent, another one of those Leipzig models that, you know, their sort of model that they like to bring in. And it's been a disaster. Yeah,
I mean, it was somewhat surprising, I guess, because he looked so promising, didn't he, in those kind of early months at Barcelona. But yeah, ever since, you know, his wage demands were obviously too high for Barca. You know, reports of him demanding 100,000 a week. Leipzig then paid 20 million euros for him. So, like, you know, that's a fair amount for Leipzig to pay for a talent as well. And given their record, you kind of expected that they would be able to get something out of him, or at least there would be a situation where they'd be able to sell him at a profit. Because yeah, they don't always hit, but like usually, you know, they are smart enough to you know, see enough talent in someone that they can sell them off in 2 years or whatever. But yes, so far doesn't look particularly good, does it? Obviously got loaned to Valencia in January. He's only made 5 starts since then. I think he actually started in the Copa del Rey final, but Valencia looked pretty poor in midfield, to be honest. I think Real Betis were very deserving of that win, despite it taking penalties to achieve that. And yeah, he looked fairly absent, you know, give or take a few kind of moments here and there in the first and second halves. But yeah, like his numbers don't look too bad. Like he's quite an active defender, kind of what you'd expect for a young midfielder. It's 4.5 tackles and interceptions. He's taking over a shot a game as well. But I think that was, you know, what kind of set him apart at Barca was that he was really, he looked really dangerous in the final third, didn't he? He looked like a really dangerous player, kind of on the edge of the area, bursting into the box. Haven't really seen that from him. You also don't necessarily expect to see that from your midfielders in a Bordeaux side, but yeah, you've got to say for 20 million euros, yeah, big disappointment for the fact alone that he was sent out on loan halfway through the season.
Yeah, pretty damning stuff. I remember that when he scored for, I think it was his first La Liga goal last year, and that was amazing. Someone put an amazing tweet where he turned around and it was Messi just there, and he's just living the dream right then and there. Looked like he maybe got slightly carried away with his wage demands, etc. And Tristan Triss, who actually suggested this, he put on Twitter that he got into quite a lot of trouble at Leipzig because he was asking the physios to feed him grapes or something.
Wow.
Something bizarre about his attitude.
Nice.
Who knows whether that's true or not, but at Tristan Triss says it was. So maybe he needs to, grow up slightly on that front as well. Let's move on to Mathias Vina. This was suggested by Connor Murphy, 1990. Now, really difficult task for him. He was trying to replace Spinazzola. Obviously, still hasn't played, I don't believe, since that, was it quarterfinals of Euro 2020 when he did his Achilles against Belgium. So they signed Vina from Brazil for £12 million. And he actually started the season pretty well, but he's really become a bit-part player in the last few months. I think he's only played more than 45 minutes once in their last 12 games, and his stats are quite underwhelming. Very good defensive numbers, to be fair to him. 3.9 tackles and interceptions, but pretty poor on the ball. He's completing less than 80% of his passes as well, just 26 passes per game. And in recent weeks, Mourinho switched his system slightly and brought in Nicola Zalewski, who is a 20-year-old Polish academy graduate who's had to step into that left wing-back slot as Mourinho's gone to a 3 in the back at times in recent weeks, to great effect, to be fair. Roma are playing pretty damn well at the moment, aside from that result against Inter at the weekend. So potential shout for Vina, maybe a little bit harsh. He'll probably be back up to Spinazzola next season when he's back fully fit. Let's move on to Stephen Stubbs' 5 suggestion, Henry, which is Donyell Malen. Now, I think this is very harsh. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's harsh too. 9 goals, 6 assists, 38 league games. 38 games, sorry. It really looks as if he's next year is going to be the year where we see him step up, certainly when Haaland goes. It looks like they're probably going to bring in Adeyemi as well. I'd like to see them bring in another proper number 9, sort of imposing figure up front. That's just someone that they can work off. But yeah, I think it's difficult. He's done well considering Haaland's absence. 5 goals, 3 assists, 3 goals in the Champions League, 2, 1 and 2 in the Europa League. I think Donyell Malen is fine, but it's been tough for guys coming out of the Eredivisie as well. We've seen Myron Boadou have a really difficult period over at Monaco this season as well. So, I mean, Steven Bergwijn's still struggling at Tottenham as well. So it's not easy sometimes to make this leap. Out of all of them, I think Donyell Malen is the one that's going to come good. I think I've been really impressed with him this year, more so than Boadou at Monaco. Yeah,
I think he got off to a slow start, and it sort of built up this narrative that he wasn't really performing when actually he was being pretty unlucky. And then, suddenly his luck changed in front of goal. He got some ugly finishes away, and seems like his confidence has carried on from that. At Hazard_1001 McCubb suggests Locatelli or De Paul. Again, I feel like a little bit harsh.
I think harsh on Locatelli. Not so much on De Paul. I think. I don't think it's necessarily Rodrigo De Paul's fault, but I don't think that is he 40 million euros or whatever they paid for him? Has he been worth it? I'm not so sure. He's played a lot, but he's been playing in a much deeper position. His goal and assist output has really dried up. All his numbers have pretty much gone down as well. And obviously, you have to caveat that with the fact that he's not playing in a side where everything is built around him. That was what it was. What was happening at Udinese. But like when he came in, it felt like a really progressive signing for Atleti. Their midfield has always been a little bit of a work in progress in recent years. Technically, he was a real step up on someone like Marcos Llorente, who was kind of doing those kind of things last year for Atleti. I just don't think he's had the impact that most would have been hoping from him. 2 goals and 1 assist all season in a side which is playing more possession football this term, albeit not in a particularly effective way. I think that's 40 million euros on someone who is in their prime as well. It's not like this is a young player who's going to necessarily improve in years to come. I do think that's a disappointing signing.
I think that's down to Simeone though. I don't.
I think that's. But does that not does that not indicate that that's a poor signing if they weren't sure. Simeone wasn't sure how he was going to use him.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't well thought out, but I don't think you can blame that on the player if he's being used in a different role.
I'm not blaming the player. It's a bad signing though.
Yeah. I mean, yes, okay. If you're looking at the club perspective, which I suppose we are ranking the worst signings of the season. And are they getting enough out of him? Are they using him effectively? I don't think so.
All of the Atleti's attacking business.
Cunha as well.
Cunha, he's struggled. I thought he was going to be good. So I think Griezmann, you can stake a claim that if they do end up having to spend a load of
Oh,
money.
for
Although
sure.
he has
Disaster.
been pretty good in moments,
Yeah.
Griezmann, and I think a lot of people defend him in the comments whenever we say anything about him. But yeah, all of their attacking signings have just been...
I think the thing with Cunha though is that he just hasn't really played much, has he? Like we haven't really seen anything. Well, we haven't seen enough from him
Consistent
yet.
football.
Like,
Well,
have you even played 1,000 minutes yet this term?
Suarez is leaving, I think, at the end of his
Yeah.
contract this year, and they can't just have Angel Correa as their like main source of
No.
attack. So like they're really gonna have to think about what they're doing next season if they're serious about kicking on. Because I still think this year that there was an opportunity for Atleti to get a double league title. I think they really missed the trick.
Well, we all
this
said
year
at the start of the year that they'd had the best window.
Yeah, they played. Weirdly, they've actually played more attacking. They've been more open than previous, but it's just been another sort of missed opportunity, I think, for Atleti.
Yeah, I think they'll go for a physical number 9 because they were linked with Vlahovic before he went to Juventus, which suggests that they were going for that sort of player. I think even Dominic Calvert-Lewin is being linked with Atletico Madrid at the moment. Don't know the truth in that.
Wow.
Guys, I'm sure we have missed out a numerous amount of players, and we haven't even ranked them. Guys, quickly, who is your number 1 worst signing of the season? Actually, let's have a top 3, quickly. Henry, who would you like to suggest?
I was going to slam Ricardo Pepi for being bad for Augsburg. Since no goals since January. What a waste of money. I'd probably say Ramos, just because it kind of encapsulates everything that I think slightly gone wrong this season. But yeah, I mean, generally though, it's not been a terrible year.
In Europe, yeah.
For
There's
sort
been
of
some stinkers in the Prem.
15 to 20 million pound transfers. So yeah, I'll probably go for Ramos. Closely followed by Marieba as well.
Yeah. Cubs, are you in disagreement with that?
Not massively now. I think they're both bad signings. Actually, an honourable mention. Ferran Torres at 50 million euros has not, last 2 months he's been very ineffectual. Like he had a really good first month. I don't know. Speaking to Barca fans,
They don't like him.
They don't like him. They
Really?
think he's been
He was
by far
injured when he
he's been
joined.
by far their worst. Yeah, but he's not injured anymore, is he?
So
Like he's
they
not
think
like
he's their worst January signing.
yeah, by a distance, I think. And I think for the I think mainly for the price. I think he will come good, but so far, he's been played on the left-hand side, which is comfortably his worst position in the forward line. I think you should play him on the right or through the centre. And yeah, he's almost completely ineffectual on the left, I think. It basically is just there to create space for Jordi Alba, which is fine, but at 50 million euros for a cash-strapped club, like it's a big investment. So yeah, I think Barca, Javi will be hoping to see a big step up from him next season.
He does say this, having just come back from the Nou Camp, which we will be asking about. We'll be asking
Maybe,
about
yeah,
the Cubs in due course,
yeah.
about his match report.
The voice of Kool-Aid in my ear.
But yeah, I think it's a fair enough shout. It'll be interesting to see how that forward line develops next year, and obviously he's not going to play on the right hand side because Ousmane Dembele is playing out of his effing skin at the moment, and it's so impressive. In terms of my worst signing of the year, I'm probably going with Ilaix Marieba. It seems a little harsh on a 19-year-old, but it has just been a massive flop.
Apparently they don't want him back.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. So who knows what the future holds for him? Does he want to hang around with Bordelas and Valencia? I'm not so sure. Guys, who is your worst signing of the season? Let us know in the comments down below, and let's move on to our big match predictions. Right, so it's time for big match predictions, my favourite section, mainly because the scores on the doors. Diggy 36, Henry 31, McCubs 23.
I'm creeping up on you, Henry.
There are just
I'm
a few
creeping up on you.
games left. Do you think you can still do it?
Nah,
This would be a famous win.
I'm done. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to have to go for quite outrageous predictions now.
To go for the extra point.
I've got to go high risk, high reward.
Yeah. To clarify, anyone that missed that episode, if you predict a game with over 5 goals or more, you get an extra point if you get the bonus score. So McCubs is going to have to go crazy.
Yeah.
Last week obviously didn't count because McCubs was off and we had Jorge stepping in from La Liga Lowdown. We all thought Betis would win the Copa del Rey, but no one saw the penalties coming. I did say extra time, but didn't see the pens. Inter Milan versus Roma, I got 1 point. Jorge thought it would be a draw. Jorge thought Roma would win. Henry thought it would be a draw. And Bayern versus Dortmund, we all went for a heavy Bayern win, but not quite getting it right. So the winner of last week's mini league was actually Jorge. Well done. 4 points, Jorge. You were great value as well if you're watching this week. Myself with 3, and then Henry got 2. But anyway, form of that week goes out the window. It's all about this week, lads. 4 games left, 5 games left in some European leagues. Even less in the Bundesliga, actually. Right, let's start with Milan versus Fiorentina. Sunday, 2 p.m, 1st versus 7th. There are 18 points between them. This is obviously not a particularly big game in terms of the rivalry between them in the league, but massive for Milan, Henry. Huge. What a week for them.
Yeah, I mean, just when you think that Inter have got this title sewn up, they go and blow it, losing to Bologna 2-1. Radu, what an error. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I feel sorry for the guy. Apparently, what you're saying, first start of the season. What a time to leave your mark on the campaign. But yeah, Milan, big week for them. Tonali scored that 93rd minute winner versus Lazio on the weekend, secure a victory. I mean, that's a huge result for Lazio, who I'm going to put down as one of the most disappointing teams of the year. I found.
Wow.
Well,
are you just saying that so Milinkovic-Savic goes to Fulham?
Yes. so, if you're listening, yeah. What a rumour.
But you know what? There's something about it that makes me think.
It's so outlandish that it could
happen. Like you got Seri when like Barcelona wanted him.
Yeah,
so,
why not?
And Anguissa as well.
Let's spend our entire budget on Milinkovic-Savic and see what happens. Anyway, we'll discuss that next year when it happens. But yeah, I think this is a huge moment for Milan. But I think this is going to be a really tough game, even though Fiorentina lost their last 2 matches in Serie A. I mean, Salernitana, I watched a bit of that game, overwhelming them at times. They're really going for it. I mean, Salernitana, fair play to them. They've invested heavily in January, basically bought an entire new starting 11, and it is paying dividends. So it's a bit wide open at the moment in Serie A. But yeah, if we look at Milan's run-in, Fiorentina, Hellas Verona, which are no easy match for any team at the moment. Atalanta, then Sassuolo. It's tricky. I mean,
they've got the harder run-in.
They do have the harder run-in, but games you think they're going to draw, they ended up winning. Games you think they're going to win, they end up losing.
Find a way.
It's funny this season. I think I'm backing Milan to win this, just because I think Fiorentina are slightly at a low edge. And yeah, even Ikone, he hasn't kind of like kicked on some of their signings in January. I'm going to go for a nervy, do I go 2-1 or 1-0? I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Milan. I think this is going to be like a winner in the last 20 minutes. Just judging on what we've seen recently, not scoring loads of goals, defending really well. I think they've kept, before conceding this weekend, they kept something like 7 domestic clean sheets in a row. So their defence has been on flames this year. But yeah, so I'm going to go for a 1-0. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, massive credit to Kalulu in particular over the last couple of months. Like, no one saw his form coming as well. The Cubs, I've still got a feeling that Inter are going to do it. I think they have been, aside from that January to March period and this shock loss on Wednesday, I think they are the better side. Yeah. But yet Milan are ahead. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
I mean, Inter are the better team, but equally, Milan have had, I think we were speaking about it a couple of weeks ago, Milan have just had so many like clutch moments this season, you know, like players like Giroud scoring important goals.
Great goal.
Benacer, his goal, who was that against again? I can't remember, but yeah, like, and then Tonali, 93rd minute, and then the mistake from Radu. Like, it feels like it's written in the stars at this point, and it is finally in their hands as well. Like, I don't know. I'm for the first time, I'm actually thinking Milan. I'm veering towards Milan to win it.
Wow.
But what an end to the season, eh? Like, I know it's sad that Napoli have dropped out of the title race, but to have the 2 Milan clubs actually going at it for the first time in years for a title properly, you know, final few weeks. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. And yeah, like, they're playing Fiorentina at the perfect time. Obviously got absolutely smashed up by Udinese. Their defence all over the place in that game. I thought it did improve in the second half, but for the first 2 goals, pretty shameful stuff. And then, yeah, Salernitana, again, yeah, I mean, you do have to kind of credit Salernitana. I absolutely love Juric up top.
Yeah,
what a beast he is. Yeah, like, I just thought they were going to be the whipping boys for the whole season, and now 3 wins in 3, and they suddenly look like they you know, I think it's probably worth putting money on them to stay up. Not that I, you know, encourage that kind of thing, but like, yeah, like, they're really on a roll. It's just great. It's great to see like a team like actually embark on like a great escape, because I feel like they're a thing of the past. Maybe that's just like rose tinted glasses, but like, I just feel like we don't see it as much these days. I'm backing Milan for this, I think.
Score?
I'm gonna say 2-0.
2-0. Okay. I mean,
that's not very outlandish, actually. But
not very outlandish, but
go for those 3
actually,
points.
at this stage of the season, that is quite outlandish. I think it's going to be really, really tight. Let's just quickly talk Fiorentina, because they have had a phenomenal season despite their recent slight dip as well. They haven't finished higher than 10th since 2017-18. But get this, they've already got 16 more points than at this stage than in the entirety of last year, and obviously there's still 4 games to go. There are 3 points separating Roma in 5th and Atalanta in 8th. And Fiorentina are probably deserving to finish in that area, which I think, given Vincenzo Italiano wasn't even supposed to be their manager this year, is a really impressive achievement. Annoying that Castrovilli has just got injured as well after finally picking up some form. They beat Milan 4-3 in the last fixture. I wish I could go crazy on this, but I'm just going to say it's a 1-1. I think Milan drop points in this game. I really do. Even though it's at the San Siro, I think Inter are still going to win the league. I'm sticking with it. My boys in blue. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Right, let's move on to our second game. Marseille versus Lyon. Sunday, 7:45 p.m. Second versus eighth. 13 points between them. McCubs, pretty excellent season from Marseille now. They are sewn up Champions League football for next year. They've got that Conference League semi-final tonight. We're obviously filming this on a Thursday, so best of luck to all the teams taking part in the Europa League and Conference League. But yeah, Jorge Sampaoli, nice work.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, like he's made them a really exciting team again. There was a big squad turnover in the summer, wasn't there? Lots of new players coming in, lots of young new players. Managed to gel them, has managed to rotate the squad quite well as well. Obviously, Dimitri Payet has just been, had one of his best ever seasons, hasn't he?
Every week.
Added to it, obviously, like 2 penalties, wasn't it, in the last game? But wasn't the one before? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, they've had a great season, and they're kind of back where they belong. Unlike Lyon, who obviously have struggled again. But yeah, I think this will be a really entertaining game. 2 very attacking teams, but I think Marseille are just the better side, so I'll back them. I'll go for. I will go for a 5+ here.
Go on.
I'm going to say 3-2 to Marseille.
3-2 to Marseille. Yeah, I'd love that.
I like that. I'll rate that. I'll rate that.
That's a great prediction.
That's a bit out of your camp, actually. It's just one more than 2-2. So
Henry, how do you see this one going? Lyon, Peter Bosz just holding on to it by his fingernails.
Well, I was reading that they've said he's definitely going to be manager next year, although I do think that's going to change. I don't see what else they've got to compete for this year. I mean, I know the league's quite tight, but all this talk now that Paqueta is going to be moving on to maybe Newcastle, which could genuinely happen. I mean, that looks like it probably might.
That'd be epic.
Yeah, I just think that going out with a whimper against West Ham has really put the nail in the coffin of their season. I think they put so many of their eggs in that basket, which is quite a difficult task anyway, if you consider the rest of the teams in that competition. So, yeah, I'm backing Marseille in a similar fashion. I think this is going to be. They do score goals, though, don't they? I like 3-2. I enjoy that. Yeah. I'm going to go.
Join me.
Flip it.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Marseille at home.
3-1 to Marseille.
It's important for them because it's so tight for those Champions League spots as well. I think they've got more riding on this game, so 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point about Lyon. They do score a lot of goals, but no one in the top 10 has conceded more than their 45. They got 76 points last term. They're currently on 52. I think that's a shocking season. I'm amazed that he's still in a job, to be honest. They've been so inconsistent. Even this year, as in calendar year, I think they've been so inconsistent. I'm going to be a bit dull, but I want the points, lads.
Yeah.
It's that stage of the season. I'm going 2-0 Marseille. Let's move on.
Boo.
Leverkusen versus Frankfurt, Monday, 7:30 p.m. Now, we don't normally cover Monday night games, but it's a bank holiday on Monday, so get prepared for a top 10. There will be no ERU, so we are going to talk about a Monday game. Third versus ninth, 15 points between them. Leverkusen versus Frankfurt. McCubs, the big game tonight is Frankfurt versus West Ham. West Ham with about no defenders available. They might have to play David Moyes at centre-back. But Frankfurt in the league are a very different team to in the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to shout out their Europa League form, like knocking Betis and Barca out, 2 teams that, like by all accounts, have been better than them, at least domestically this season. I know Barca had an absolute shocker in that second leg, didn't they? But nevertheless, they've been great in the Europa League. So yeah, considering that, like I think maybe they do go into that West Ham game mild favourites. I don't know though. Like it's difficult to know whether it's just English bias or whether I just think West Ham will come through that. So yeah, we'll see.
It's very bold talking about this as it's already happened now.
So it's already happened. So enough of that. But yeah, they have been really disappointing in the league, haven't they? They've only won 3 of their last 14 games, drew with Greuther Fürth, haven't won in their last 5. Like they're coming up against a Leverkusen side who, have been really good going forward this season. And defensively, I think have improved as well under Seoane. They're not like a super high pressing side, but they do, you know, the system kind of works for them. And yes, some days they do ship a lot of goals, but I think this is an area that they're improving in. I can't really see this being anything other than a Leverkusen win. I'm afraid. I think Frankfurt.
They'll probably rest a lot.
Yeah, you know, similarly to Lyon, putting all their eggs in the Champions League, basket, in the Europa League basket, and quite rightly so. You know, that is by far their best chance of getting European football next season. You know, they're not even looking like they could get. You know, you wouldn't even back them to get Europa for next year either. So yeah, they're going to be putting all their eggs in that basket, and yeah, I think they probably will rest a few players. So yeah, Leverkusen, 3-0 Leverkusen.
Ooh, comprehensive. Henry, can you disagree? Agree?
No, I was thinking about 1-1. Then I thought about the 2-2, and then I thought, no, that's not worked for me at all this year. so no, I'm going to back Leverkusen to win 2-1. I think at home. It's not bank holiday. I don't know if it's bank holiday in Germany.
I don't know.
I was going to say bank holiday.
I don't think they take holidays in Germany.
No, yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1. But yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for Patrick Schick. I'm just so pleased to see him.
What is it, 27 league goals?
I think it's not that many. It's 21.
Oh, okay. Maybe
but it's still
a lot.
Still like unreal. They're really entertaining. So many goals in their sides. Been playing so well recently. We're missing a lot of players who are out injured. But yeah, I think next year, if they make a few smart additions, because no one's going to be really coming in for Wirtz or these kind of players this summer, if Leverkusen can make a few smart additions, then I would think they can try and have a real tilt at getting close to Bayern next season, because I can't see their squad getting raided, and the only way that teams are going to catch Bayern at the moment in the Bundesliga is if they have these 3 years kind of cyclical process where they can hold a squad together and at least have something to challenge, because Dortmund have become too much of like a selling club in the past few years. So yeah, I just think Leverkusen are in a really intriguing position to build on and make the most of it next year. So yeah, fingers crossed they can do that, but for this game, yes, 2-1.
Yeah, the only thing is I imagine that if Wirtz has another season like this one, when he gets fully fit, he'll probably move next summer, or at least have a lot of interest in him. Not in 2022, but in 2023, I think, you know, every top club in Europe should probably be after him, to be honest. I do genuinely think he's that good. And Champions League football is not yet sewn up for Leverkusen as well. They are currently third, but they're actually only 3 points ahead of fifth place Freiburg with 3 games to go. And their 3 games are Frankfurt, Hoffenheim and Freiburg. So that is incredibly difficult for Leverkusen. So yeah, obviously they don't have, you know, European football to contend with now. They've been knocked out, but still, that's a really tough run-in. But having said that, I'm backing them in this game. What did you say?
2-1.
Yeah, you said 3-0.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. Why not? 4-1. 4-1.
Oh, wow.
Going for the bonus point. Guys, that is all we've got time for on Continental Club for this week. I just have one quick fire question, McCubs.
Yeah.
How was the Camp Nou?
Yeah, it was great. It was great, yeah. I mean, terrible result. Barcelona are crap at the moment. They were better in the second half, but you know.
Were you a little bit gutted seeing your beloved Barcelona?
Yeah, I was annoyed that they played so badly in the first half. Like, I mean, it was like to see like, actually I think there's a curse. Like, I've seen Aubameyang play twice, and both times he's been absolutely dog. Like, actually, like he was really bad against Rayo Vallecano. But that whole forward line wasn't great aside from Ousmane Dembele, who is great to watch live. I was really glad to see him, and also Adama Traore was sick when he came on in the second half. But yeah, but what actually the best thing of it was that I was just behind the ultras, so like really good atmosphere in that part of the stadium. So I always feel so, because like I've spoken to people who like have been to the Camp Nou, and they're up in the gods, and up there it's like almost silent, but like down you know near the ultras is great. And also got to have a close-up view of Luke de Jong going for an overhead kick and then just like absolutely smacking the Vallecano midfielder, I can't remember his name, but bald guy, right in the back of the head, and he was on the ground for about. And Barca fans absolutely love Luke de Jong. Like when Aubameyang when he came on for Aubameyang, it got the biggest cheer of the night. Really? And like not straight away, but after like Luke de Jong was getting grief from the Vallecano players for for like, you know, almost knocking out their teammate, all the ultras were just shouting, Luke, 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 Luke. So it's great to see like a cult hero like him, because he's just like, you know, when Barca signed him, everyone was just like, this is a terrible, terrible signing. But he's obviously, you know, just a few like late important goals, and he's like absolutely loved there. So it'll be interesting to see whether they'll keep him on. Probably not, will they? But it was fun to see that.
I love that. Someone suggested him underneath my tweet, but I just thought, no, Luke de Jong, he's had a fine season, given his ability in that team. Henry, anything from you? What would you, I mean, are you going to watch any football in the next couple of weeks? Fulham, are you going to watch another promotion party game?
Oh yeah, how was that, by the way? I feel like
that was great. My first pitch invasion, loved it on the pitch. It feels as beautiful as it looks to play on. Craving
Did you take some grass?
I didn't. I figured I didn't need it.
How polite is a Fulham pitch invasion? Or was it?
You know, it's very violent at first.
Really?
They almost put up a pointless defence. There was people. I saw a dad nut a steward in front of his son. It got very violent, and then they just let everyone on the pitch. It was so pointless. But yes, it was
just a poor steward with blood streaming down his face, watching everyone make.
Yeah, everyone was singing. We were going on the pitch for about 5 minutes. They knew it was coming. But yeah, it was. Once we were on, I think everyone sort of freaked out a little bit. We had Munoz on the bouncing him up and down. Our useless Brazilian striker. But yeah, that was great. But yeah, nothing. I'm just enjoying all the European football at the moment. Nothing.
Good man. Yeah, no, I mean, go watch all our content. We normally push some content. Go and watch all of it. It's all actually been a really good week, actually. So yeah, go check it out. Maybe go check out The Chase on Football Daily if you haven't yet already. Yes. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you next week. Look after yourselves. Have a great weekend. Up the Sunderland. Bye.